So this is the empty. This is empty fullness. This is nothing and everything. There is only nothing and everything. And in that nothing and everything, there isn't anything that is not the beloved. And in some way, in that energy, well, I would like to call it boundless energy. The nothing and the everything is, let's say, is boundless energy. And that boundless energy is also contracted energy. All of it is the one thing, it's all the beloved. The contracted energy is the beloved, the boundless energy is the beloved. When the tiny child is born, the human child is born, like any other animal, it simply is boundless. And then a contracted energy arises in the body of the child later on. And unlike any other animal, in some way or other, this has some effect on the body. And what arises when that something that's contracted arises in the body, there's suddenly a self-awareness, a self-consciousness happens, which is uniquely human. And out of that self-consciousness arises a sense of identity. And that is the I am dream. The I am dream begins. And that I am dream creates a separation between the me, the individual, and what is. So then, thereafter, one illusion that arises is that I am real. It's the only illusion, but it's the illusion that happens to the individual, a separate individual only. I am real. The world is real. This story is real. Other people are real. And free will and choice are real. Cause and effect. All those things for the individual seem to be real. This is a great illusion. And so the child grows up and meets many other individuals who feel the same thing. So this dualistic dream, I am dream, is so profound and seems so real all over the place that this child takes on this agenda of separation as normal. So to be separate, to be an individual, and to be real is the normal thing. And so he lives and grows with other people who also see that as normal. But that sense of dissatisfaction, that sense of separation, you could say, that feeling of being an individual and being real, is actually deeply unsatisfying because there seems to be something that's missing in it. There seems to be something else that the individual can only be aware of in some way or other. And so everyone who lives in that experience of being an individual is actually deeply unsatisfied, but won't necessarily recognize that. And then, as they grow, they try to make their lives or arrange their lives in some sort of way that makes them satisfying. So they're always looking for a different experience that in some way satisfies them or could maybe bring them some sort of fulfillment. It never does, because what they're looking for is beyond seeking. But they try in any way they can to find fulfillment in every money, or women, or men, or whatever, power, being a victim. It doesn't matter. The individual, all the individuals who live in that dream are looking for something else. They are all seekers. They're all seeking something else without necessarily knowing it or even admitting that there is a seeking that goes on. Some people look for it in a deeper way by investigating religion, psychology, all of those things. But of course, what arises in that dream world, that illusory world of being real, is that the experience of the individual is to live in a dualistic reality. That's its experience, that everything is dual, one and the other. So obviously what it also experiences or believes in is a subject-object reality. So I'm the subject and everything that's happening outside me is the object. So in seeking some sort of satisfaction, even if it's religious or spiritual, the individual seeker objectifies what he's looking for. So the object that it looks for is, let's say, awakening, enlightenment, or the kingdom of heaven, or whatever particular religion attracts it. And its whole effort is to own that thing called awakening, or religion, or enlightenment, or whatever. It wants to own that and have it for itself, because it sees that whole satisfaction as an object that it can achieve. That makes all seeking of any kind completely and utterly and wonderfully futile. Because what is really longed for is beyond seeking. What is really longed for already is. It's this. It can't be sought, it can't be discovered. This can't be unearthed and owned, because it is everything and nothing already. It is the contraction energy, it is the seeking energy, it is the finding energy, it's everything that arises and apparently happens is the beloved. And so for the seeker, that's the frustration. What we're seeing in the world at the moment is people, although they won't necessarily recognise that, people who live in the dualistic world are getting more and more angry about the fact that they can't find fulfillment. That's what you see in the world, more and more anger, frustration happening, more and more wars between one religion and another. This is all part of that seeking energy. So we could speak together here, we could talk together. And in some way or other, it's possible that the beliefs that I hold might become a little bit fluid in terms of the radical response that any question would bring up. It's possible that those beliefs might wobble a bit in view of this very radical approach that's being communicated here. But actually, really, all of the conversations we're going to have, all of that discussion we're going to have, is a vehicle for something else. It's a vehicle for an energy. And it's an open energy, it's a boundless energy. It can't be contained, and it can't be spoken of. But in some way or other, when people communicate, something energetic seems to happen, just as it does in any normal meeting. But the only other thing about that, in this sort of setting, which is fairly unique, not only here but elsewhere, there's an energetic thing that happens, and that is that the intention of energy, the intentional energy of the seeker that has an agenda and asks a question, and that agenda is to get an answer. In some way or other, that has an energy, a particular energy, which is a driven energy, looking for some way to become something else, looking for an answer. So that intentional energy meets an energy of openness, complete openness, without intention. It's a response that comes from nothing. So when the intentional energy meets the response that comes from nothing, it falls into a void. It gets lost. It feels impotent. And that meeting of those two energies somehow creates a resonance. There's a sense in the room that other people can feel that obviously we're on a journey to nowhere. This is getting nowhere. This is about nothing that can ever be discovered or known or understood. It's completely beyond any attempt to unearth it or comprehend it. And that is energetically what seems to be happening more than anything else in this sort of meeting. This is fairly rare. It doesn't only happen here, there are other people, very, very few, that speak in this way. There are dozens now of people out there who purport to teach non-duality, which is a joke. Of course, non-duality can't be taught, because non-duality is the nothing and the everything. So how can you teach nothing and everything? It's impossible. But there are many people out there who come under the heading of non-duality who are totally and utterly dualistic. So this is fairly rare, but it's happening. And in some way or other, that energy, those apparently two energies that meet, somehow create some sort of resonance. So let's apparently speak together.
Is there any reality whatsoever to the world of the seeker?
Well, no, of course not. Our world of the seeker is simply nothing apparently happening. This is nothing. There isn't anyone here. But this is a no thing apparently happening. And for those who are in the dream of individuality, they feel as though they are real. So people who are here, who feel they are real people, feel they're sitting on a seat. For instance, just simply, I am sitting on a seat. That's what's happening. I am sitting on a seat. This is the illusion. I, one, am sitting on a seat, two. I, one, am aware of sitting on a seat, two. This is the normal way in which people function. In fact, in reality, all there is sitting on a seat, which can't be known and comprehended. Nothing can know it or own it. It simply is that there is just sitting on a seat. So, in the dualistic reality, everything is separate. It's a dreamt reality.
Yeah, because it feels strange to me, coming back as a me, but when there's a glimpse and there's apparently things happening, there's nothing really happening.
Well, there's nothing happening, no, of course not.
And then...
There's no future or past, there's nothing happening. This is nothing happening. This is nothing apparently happening.
And then after the glimpse, it seems a bit shaky, reality, because on the one hand it feels certain that I'm here experiencing what's happening, but at the same time when I remember the glimpse, there really wasn't actually anything.
Well, there's
happening.
a contradiction, obviously, but you didn't have the glimpse. The glimpse was when you weren't there.
But I try and make sense out of the two different worlds.
That's what everybody's trying to do. It's impossible, because I've already explained to you why the seeker is objectifying everything it wants to find. So the idea that it's going to find what it longs to have and find fulfillment is possible. It's an illusion.
So everything that people believe they know about reality is false, like there's no reality to anyone's beliefs.
No. Because the individual lives in an illusory reality, a dualistic reality. It's the beloved arising in that form, and there's no reason for it. The whole of this is completely without meaning or purpose. It just is.
It's hard. I know it's not about me accepting or believing what you're saying.
Well, of course it isn't. There isn't anyone there. How could there possibly be that no one, or there could be someone that would accept this?
Because when the predominant view of the world is so strongly rooted in
Well, so what? The belief that if you're very rich you'll be happy is strongly held in the world. Big deal. It's nonsense. All of that belief, most people live in dualism and therefore they make it real. But what you're doing is saying, well, because so many people make it real, it must be real. And for the individual it is, that's the illusion.
So if I die, or the illusion of me being a real person stops?
Well, it doesn't stop because it never began.
It's just happening though.
Well, it never began, but the individual believes it did because the individual believes there is such a thing as time. Past and future.
So even whatever I go back and forth asking you, it's not going to help me because
nothing will help you because you aren't real, as you believe you are.
I don't know how you can sit there and tell me that.
Oh, it's very easy. I can't see anyone in this room. There is an eye to see, actually. As far as this perception is concerned, there's no one in this room. There are just bodies. And then the body may speak, and it becomes apparent that the body is a seeker who thinks they're going to find something.
So you've got no fear of upsetting anyone.
Sorry?
You've got no fear of upsetting anyone if you
There's
destroy
anyone
them.
too upset. So there's no deal going on here. That's why what's coming out of this is completely without intention or agenda. What you're doing is meeting nothing. And you as a seeker are presenting something. And this is why I was saying that energetically that's what seems to be.
And I'm getting upset because my beliefs aren't being agreed with.
No, I know.
Can I ask something else, Tony? You said that when, well, you didn't say when it stops happening, but you said it was never happening.
Nothing is happening because there is no time. Time is just another appearance of the beloved, but time is simply an appearance of nothing. Time and space are, but they're not real, they're only time. So there isn't any time, so there aren't any people, and there is no story.
Because I keep feeling as though I'm approaching a moment, hopefully.
Well, of course you do, because that's your energy. Your energy is to be an individual, separate person. That's what everyone who is in that illusion is quite sure they're real. That's why I was suggesting that the real person feels they're really sitting on a real seat, and it's really happening. The difference is that all there is sitting on a seat, and it isn't real, it's an appearance. There's nothing appearing as apparently sitting on a seat.
But how can I not project?
You're right, you can't. You, the individual, can't, because you are dualism. You don't live in dualism, you are dualism.
So it doesn't make any difference what I do?
But there is no you to do anything. You're not doing this, you're not holding that microphone. You're not sitting on that seat. You're not answering questions. You may think you are, but you're not. That's what's happening. That is no thing arising as what's happening. All there is nothing apparently happening. This is nothing apparently happening.
Thank you.
I think I have a question for you, Tony. Will I take it? Tony,
That's all wrong.
all right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Tony, no, I forgot the question. What do you think fuels the illusion? What do you think fuels the illusion? What is the core of
Fuel.
it?
Oh,
Yes.
the energy of separation.
Yes, exactly.
But of course it's nothing arising as an apparent person. So the source of everything is nothing. So the source of being an individual is nothing, and the fuel comes out of nothing and arises as an apparent person.
Alright, so it has the same core or reason as you can.
There's no reason for everything. Because I have said this, I think 4 times already. The whole of this existence is completely without meaning or purpose.
Alright, so it might as well not be an illusion there of someone existing.
The illusion for the individual is that they are real. And everything else is real.
Let me rephrase that. I mean, right now, I think I do exist. Right?
Yeah, that's
but
good.
I might as well feel that I'm not existing.
Join the queue. Yeah.
So it's completely intentional.
Thinking you don't exist, it's just you thinking you don't exist. So you are you as a real person thinking that you don't exist. It's just a concept. We're not talking about concepts.
Alright, so it's one like the other. Doesn't really matter.
Well, no, but nothing does matter because I've said for the 5th time, all of this is without purpose or meaning. So why would it matter?
Yeah.
Who cares what you think? You're just nothing appearing as somebody who thinks they're real.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Someone else?
Thank you.
Tony, I think the big problem I have with all of this is that I really want...
Say that again.
I think the big problem that I have with all of this is that I want it to be verified and proven. And it's impossible to prove what you're saying. There's no proof of it, is there? There's no proof of what you're saying.
Of course, how can there be? For all there is nothing. How do you expect me to believe, to prove that this is nothing? I don't mean, you can't even explain what nothing, I can't explain what nothing is. How can you?
But I know this might sound silly, but as an individual, and I hear you say, all there is nothing, all there is nothing, all the time.
Not all the time. Some of the time. But I'm sorry, what you're not getting, and obviously you may not have heard, is that there are words, we're using words, or words are being used, and they are a carrier for something else.
So the sensitivity to what you're saying is beyond the need of proof. If there's a sensitivity,
obviously.
Yeah.
It already is.
So where's the sensitivity? Just within the body?
It's not anywhere. There isn't. It can occur in the body. There can be a sensitivity about this, which can arise. A resonance. What seems to often happen is a resonance of something else, another possibility, but there is any nothing.
possibility.
Yeah.
One second. And is the possibility bigger that the sensibility rise when I think I sit here and listen to the talk?
Well, you might think you're sitting there listening to a talk.
Yeah.
But if you're only listening to a talk, you're just an individual listening to ideas. There's something else going on that's energetic, which can't be spoken. It's to do with wonder. It's to do with innocence. There's something of wonder and innocence that's arising here that's completely beyond the words. The words are just a vehicle, really. They may shake the foundations of strongly held beliefs, especially if they're religious ones or even psychological ones. But they'd probably be replaced with some sort of other concept. People who come to these meetings and do talk about the fact that there is no one, but it's still a concept, it's still a belief.
Okay. Thank you.
Tony, you've said before that everything's been lost there. Everything's been lost, and that liberation, or so-called liberation, is a complete loss of everything.
Apparently, yeah. When it's lost, it's realised there was never anybody that owned it anyway.
I can't.
You know, when suddenly the whole illusion of separation falls away, it's realised it was never there anyway. Not by anyone, but it's recognised it never was.
So it's not a real loss?
No, not at all. No. Nothing's lost because there's no one. How can there be anything lost? How can there be anything lost if there's no one?
But when you felt you lived as Tony Parsons, you had hopes and dreams of...
When I thought I was Tony Parsons.
When you lived in the dream of being Tony, you had hopes and dreams of what was going to happen and becoming who you...
Of course not.
No, I mean when you felt separate.
Sorry?
When you felt separate.
Desperate.
No, when you felt separate.
Of course I had no idea.
No, you had hopes and dreams of what was
Oh
going to
yeah,
happen.
yeah. Absolutely. But everybody does. All individuals dream of a future that will be golden for them. A golden future.
So now there's no longer a hope of anything.
Well, it isn't that there's no longer a hope, it's just that there's no one. There's nothing. And there is nothing that knows that or experiences that or is that. There just is nothing. It's nothing. That's not known. There isn't something here that knows there's nothing. There's just nothing.
But the thing is, you're so passionate about sharing it. I think.
Well, that's not me. It's just that's life, you know.
But I think if
nothing decided that a really good-looking guy. one of the difficulties for the seeker is that the seeker is looking for something special to happen. He thinks this is what I'm talking about, or I'm talking about this, it's something special that can suddenly be discovered. It's the most ordinary and obvious thing there could be. It's completely and utterly ordinary. And also exquisitely simple. That's why I like the thing about sitting on a seat. People who want to become enlightened, and I was the same, thought that being enlightened would be all-embracing, powerful, golden and shining, and that all the women would fall madly in love with me. That was one of the first essential things. I would be so special. When I walked into a room, and the difficulty for the seeker is that they are looking for this sort of they're sitting here waiting for this it's just the utter beauty of this justice. What's happening? Moving slightly. Sound of things, speaking. Wondering, thinking, trying to work it out, not trying to work it out. All of this is the beloved. This is simply the beloved, arising in that form. But directly the seeker thinks something is happening, it thinks that what's happening is important, and it has to find an answer to that. And so it goes on and on and on. Looking and chasing and becoming, taking the next trip to the next group meeting, not realizing the footsteps that it takes are the beloved that it seeks. But what it seeks has never left it. It's always been what is. Constantly only what is. It's never come and never gone away. What you long for has never come or gone away. It is this, just this. And it plays the most beautiful game of hide and seek of all. It's the most exquisite game that it always wins. Because it hides by already being everything. And so nothing can find it because it's everything. Even the seeker, even the one that wants to find it, what it is. It's the beloved. Already. Looking for it there. That's why it's simply, there's nothing here, that wants anybody to stay or go away. And if you all got up and walked out and never came back, it would be fine because it's still what is. There aren't any agendas here. There's no agenda. How could there be an agenda if there's no one in the room?
Hello. So, when you say like when child is born,
So let's say a little louder.
so when you say when child is born, there is a contracted energy which seems to rise in that
I'm
child.
not getting that at all.
When a child is born, after some time, you said that there is a contracted energy that comes within that child. Is it
I don't know
understandable?
why can somebody else say that?
When a child is born, there's a contracted energy after a while that
Yeah,
happens in
yeah.
the body.
Yeah. So, but in the case of you, Tony Parsons, that is gone, right?
But it was never there. But it was never there.
But
It only appeared to be there. When it was there, Tony Parsons thought it was real.
Okay.
And then it went, and when it went, it was realised it was never real and never happened.
yeah, it was never. But for us, it still feels. For me, it still feels that there is a contracted energy which thinks I am real, right now.
Yeah, if you feel you are real.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's what's happening there. What's happening is the feeling you are
what's
real.
happening from my point of view?
Yeah.
So when you say that nothing is there, so is it something different you are experiencing?
No, there's nothing here to experience. There's nothing. There's no one here. There's nothing. It's not known. It's not felt. It's not experienced.
So
There just is nothing apparently happening.
how come you can say that on us?
I'm not saying it. There isn't anyone here saying it. It's a response out of nothing. I did tell you at the beginning that the energy is that the question has an intention and it meets illumination. This is illumination, but it's not anybody's illumination. It's just illumination. And the response is out of nothing. I'm not saying these words. There isn't anybody here. They're just words.
When or how does these words appear the first time that these words that nothing appears as everything?
No, it doesn't appear for the first time. Already all there is nothing is everything. But well, if the individual is in the dream of everything being real, and that when that dream falls away, it's suddenly seen that there already only ever has been nothing as everything, except that there's not a has been because there's no past and no future. It just is nothing apparently happening.
I can understand it, but okay.
Many people understand this. I know many people that understand this. I just feel
Is there any difference between understanding this intellectually or
and what? Understanding it intellectually is the same as understanding how to drive a car or how to make spaghetti bolognese. They're all the same thing. Completely and utterly useless and meaningless. This is not about, we're not talking about here about understanding something. It can get in the way actually. I know people who are so intelligent, they understand everything about this quite deeply and speak about it quite deeply. But they're stuck, their innocence is overlaid by their intelligence. Their knowing of this, or knowing of anything, overlays the innocence and wonder. Tiny children don't know anything. problem for the seeker is that it grows up and lives in a world where knowledge is the God. Money and other things are also, but knowledge is seen as the way to success. So when it's applied to the idea of finding self-fulfillment, obviously knowledge is seen as a paramount tool to be used in that way. That's why the religions are all incredibly complicated, unbelievably complicated, because they're full of knowledge, which is utterly meaningless and useless. That's because the individual has grown up believing and being taught that knowledge will bring it what it wants. Obviously, that's the way. Do you? No.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
If an individual wants to get free from suffering or get to a point of fulfillment, what can it do?
Well, obviously nothing. We've already talked about that most of the evening. There is no one and there's nothing to do. The whole idea that there's something to do is a teaching of becoming.
But if there is apparently someone,
Yeah, when there's apparently someone, they live in the dualistic dream, in which they think that they have free will and choice and they're able to do something in order to find fulfillment.
okay, and the apparently someone cannot do anything to get to the point of fulfillment?
They can try, but all of a sudden they live in the dream of being an empowered individual. They try to use the knowledge to find what they want, which, as I said at the very beginning, renders their whole activity wonderfully futile.
But this could change something for the
Nothing
individual.
changes anything. There isn't anything to change.
Nothing.
Everything is already nothing apparently happening, including the utter futility of seeking.
Okay, but apparently there is changing something.
Sorry?
Apparently there change.
No, there is no
Change.
change. When the illusion of separation falls away, it's only realised that there is only nothing apparently happening. And that's not a change, it's simply a falling away of an illusory entity. And what emerges is beyond knowledge or understanding.
Okay, and this is always.
Sorry?
This is always what you are talking about. It is always,
Always.
always, all the time.
No, it isn't all the time because there is no time. There is no past or future. The idea of always implies that there's a past or a future. There is none. All there is nothing apparently happening. But only apparently happening. It's not really happening. That's dream or form. So what you long for, it already is. You can't find it because you think it's somewhere. It's a something somewhere. The individual thinks it's something.
I didn't realize why I was lifting glasses all the time.
For a different reason. Especially if they're full of beer. Thank you.
If in this body the belly aches,
Yeah,
how is it?
it's just a belly aching.
Just a belly
There's
ache.
nobody's belly. Nobody's belly, the belly's aching. And the brain may activate something to try and help that.
To
That's
take a
also what's
pill or
happening.
something.
There's nobody that's doing that. There's nobody that's ever done anything. By the way, isn't that amazing? Nobody's ever done anything. Anything at all. Because there is nobody. But if the belly aches, there may be an action which tries to relieve that pain.
Nobody has the
There's nobody.
pain. Here it feels like there is somebody who has pain.
Oh, okay. So that's what you're in. You're in that.
It's just illusion.
Sorry?
Is this just illusion?
It is the illusion that you are real, that what's happening is real, yeah. It's an illusion. I am real. I am sitting on a chair. It's me. I am, one, sitting on a chair. Two, dualism. I am, one, separate from the chair. Two, dualism.
And you and the chair
There isn't
is
anyone.
one.
Yeah, there isn't anything. No, not, I'm not.
I have no idea why it comes in this mind. Does
So
it
you have no idea.
why this comes in my mind right now? Does it mean anything to you? A rose is a rose is a rose.
It's just a, sounds Shakespearean to me.
A
A
what?
rose by any other name smells as sweet.
What? Say that.
A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I have no idea what I'm talking.
Oh, that's right. I like it. I don't have any idea what I'm talking about.
Did you say now is real?
Not from now, nothing to do. There's no now.
Is no now?
Oh, of course not. If there is now, then there's a then.
Yeah.
There's no then and now. This is the singular immediacy. There's no now.
Tony, this is a total story, but you know how you used to say, or sometimes you say that this couldn't happen 50 years ago. There's more of a readiness for this, or something like that. Do you think it's, like I said, it's a total story, but do you think that's why there seems to be more chaos around the world at the same time, and at the same time there's even increasing more fighting for control?
Yeah, they're both energy.
Yeah.
Me is reaching a sort of crisis of frustration. Apparently. It's meaningless. That's what apparently is happening. So nothing is arising as an apparent me that's frustrated and angry. And without necessarily acknowledging it, because it doesn't want to acknowledge it, it longs for its own absence. So the action that's happening at the moment in the world brings that possibility of the absence of the me to ahead. It's quite possible that in the next few years there'll be an awful lot of absence. And that's what me longs for, without knowing it. Me longs to be absent.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
What I mean is that the me longs to be absent. It doesn't know that, but in its search for, it actually longs not to be. Because being an individual is a suffering and a feeling of separation. It longs not to be, and therefore it longs for its own absence and fears it more than anything else. So that's why in the world we live in, the atomic warfare thing and all that is feared
That's
so
the
much.
longing for.
Yeah, and in a way it's a way, without knowing it, for the me to create a situation where something will happen which will bring about the absence of the individual. It longs to commit suicide.
I know this.
And then, yeah,
This longing for
yeah.
suicide. So everywhere.
You bet.
So if me longs for its absence,
Me is
me, that the mind or me who longs for its absence. So if there is a me,
well, he doesn't know it longs for its absence.
yeah, he doesn't know it longs for absence, but now you are saying that me longs for the absence. Now
That's
it
what's
knows.
underneath what's going on.
Yeah, now it knows that it longs
More
for
than
intellectually or
apparently
something.
in the story.
Yeah, apparently in the story. So it will never work out because as soon as there is a me, there will be no absence.
There is
of
no me, but the me is one. Is nothing appearing as a me. Me is nothing in the form of me.
Okay, so that is also an energy or boundless energy which is trying to appear.
Yeah, I didn't hear the last bit. Yes.
So that is the me is also a boundless energy which is trying to be appear.
So, can somebody say what? For some reason I can't.
Me
pick up.
is also boundless energy appearing.
Oh, cool. There is only that. There is only nothing, which is boundless energy appearing as it. For no reason or meaning of any kind.
So no one decides.
There is no decision. There isn't anybody. There's
So-
nobody.
No one decides.
There never has been anybody. There's no Hitler. There's no Stalin. There's no Putin at war with the Ukraine. There's no Ukraine to be at war with. It's nothing apparently happening.
So the chair is chairing nothing, and we sit on the beloved.
So yeah. And eat it. And eat the beloved. There is only the beloved.
Tony? To go back to the example of the stomach ache before.
Say that again.
To go back to the example of the stomach ache.
Oh yeah.
Before. Okay, so a stomach ache is arising, and you said the brain can take action. Okay, on the table there's a box of indigestion tablets and a box of rat poison. And the brain guides you to take an indigestion tablet.
Well, only apparently, yeah.
Is the knowledge that an indigestion tablet's got a higher chance of helping you with your stomach ache than the rat poison?
It's what happens.
But isn't that knowledge of some sort?
Of course it is.
In
of course
action?
it's knowledge. It's knowledge to put petrol in a car that has petrol, you know. All of that goes on, but nobody is doing that. It's what's happening.
Okay, so when you said before, just cutting out.
And what's happening has no meaning on purpose.
Okay, or I think, if I recall, knowledge is meaningless.
No, I didn't say knowledge is meaningless. I said that it was a God. Then when you're brought up, you're taught that knowledge will bring you what you want. And therefore it's one of the most important, apparently, assets that you can have.
Right, so in my example, it's of the choice.
Obviously. Obviously. But it's meaningless. Because there isn't anybody that's using it or doing it. The choice to take out 3 miles in a rat point is nobody's, it's what's apparently happening.
Yeah, I understand it's nobody's, but it is a meaningful choice in the sense that...
Only in the terms of, it would only be meaningful if there was a sense or belief in the story. And that only arises in dualism. This is a story I did say at the beginning, when individuality takes place through self-consciousness, self-awareness, and what arises with it is a story that is real and has meaning, and therefore is action that can be taken to make a better story or properly illusion.
Thanks.
But me actually is terrified because it thinks if I'm not there...
He doesn't need a microphone, this guy. I'm not there.
If I'm not there, the rat poison might be taken right.
Absolutely.
And that's the fear.
Yeah.
That's why it needs the knowledge.
I'm going to stand up because I don't see you, so... Okay. Can you hear me?
I can, I think. Some people, it's more difficult than others, but go on.
So when you speak of longing, when you say this word longing, it really touches me. And it feels like a very genuine thing. It's like very genuine inside. But something tells me that there is no more value to longing than to anything else. Like, is this
so longing is based on an illusion. Longing is based on the illusion that there is something that will make you happy, for instance. It's completely illusory, but it's still longing.
So would you say longing has no meaning and purpose
Absolutely.
either?
There's nothing to long for.
So what is it? You say that the me is longing to not be, but it doesn't know that. But it seems
in most
that
cases not, no. Although there is a longing, most people would say they do want to continue. But they long for something which is beyond them, which in some way or other they wouldn't necessarily be able to put words on, but they sort of somewhere deeply they know it's about their own absence. Oh, if only all this was over.
so that somehow gives me the sense that longing.
You can't do anything about your longing. If I told you that there is no right or wrong, But if I told you that longing is based on the illusion that there's something to long for, is that going to stop you longing?
Probably not.
There is no one. All there is what's happening. Longing happens, apparently. Suffering happens, apparently. Happiness happens, apparently. War happens, apparently. Peace happens, apparently. All of it is only apparently happening. It's not real. There is nothing that's real.
So longing is not real. I just need to hear that, I think, more. Okay, thank you.
Mike, please.
You said a few times, like in the beginning, there's no agenda or deal going on here because you don't see anyone here.
Not that I don't see anyone here. There isn't an I that's sitting here seeing that there's no one here. There's just no one here.
But I think to myself...
That's totally different to me seeing that there's no one.
But what I think to myself is, if there was no agenda there to change anything, why would you talk at all?
I don't. I'm not talking.
But
this is a response out of nothing. This is nothing speaking, apparently.
But the speaking does have an effect.
No, only, as I did explain, to some extent, conceptually, what we talk about here can make people's old beliefs wobble a bit, because it is such a radical message, and the response to a question, a conceptual question, may wobble the conceptual belief that comes out of the question a bit. It does happen.
I think it's even more than just the beliefs wobbling. I think energetically the whole sense of being
but I did say that. Well, that's what I'm saying. That on the surface, this conversation is happening, and it can have a certain effect or not. But underneath that, that's happening, which is da-da-da-da-da, is actually a vehicle for something else which can't be known.
And then it feels to me like there's something there that's causing that to happen.
Well, if you believe that. You're talking to God. I've always wanted to be God, really. You know, obviously, as far as the individual is concerned, because they believe they are real, a real person, they also sit in this room and believe that I'm real.
I think it's also maybe my projection of hope.
Yeah.
There's someone there who can do something to cause something.
I'm surprised you feel that, but no.
Why are you surprised?
Because obviously there's something you're not even simply hearing. If you believe there's some sort of hope here. How can there be any hope if...
No, it's a projection of my own.
I know, yeah.
So what I'm not hearing...
Or to someone or something that's saying there is no hope.
But I can't let go.
No, you can't. You can't do anything about it. No. No.
Also, Tony, when there's no longer anyone there, or there's no longer a sense of someone there, everything is completely effortless. All of the action the body takes,
Of course.
it's just completely effortless.
Totally. Everything is effortless.
I was thinking about this today when obviously I was going to the airport, getting on the plane, blah, 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 blah. For me, it can feel like making a real effort. And then there's times when there's no one doing it, and it's just happening. And the amount of effort that me puts into getting it right, at least for me, is tremendous.
Yeah, because, but basically that's your problem, of course. You're very intelligent, and your intelligence overlays your innocence. Your intelligence tells you all sorts of things about this, which you're following, obviously, intelligently. It's all to do with knowledge.
For me, it's all about...
The way you escape this, where you escape liberation, so-called liberation, is by looking for it very intelligently. Join the queue.
What you are talking about is always...
Oh, I can hear you very clearly.
Okay. It's always there. Like...
No, what I'm talking about is not always there. It is only that. There is only that. Always implies time. The beloved has always been here. No, it hasn't. There is only the beloved.
But it's totally independent. If I'm not here...
No, it's not independent. It's all there is.
Okay.
If it was independent, it would be something that is independent of something else. Forget it. Just forget it.
Okay. Can it be... sometimes I have a feeling like falling, free falling.
Free falling?
Like just let everything go, like jumping to something. Of course there's not something, but like free falling.
And there's nobody that can jump. Where would you jump? And you don't need to jump because it's right there. You're sitting on it.
Okay. Okay.
So you don't need to jump.
Thank you.
One suicide alert.
But I can't miss it by continuing searching because there's nothing to miss.
If you can't help what's happening, all there is what's happening. You are what's happening. And if there's hurt, there's hurt. But all the time you're an individual, you take possession of that pain and make it your own. And also believe that you can do something about it. Joe.
So it can't be missed, it's always there.
It's all that, it isn't always, no, you're back to the table thing. You're trying to make it a something that's always there. Forget it.
I try.
You're trying.
What's about the consciousness?
I didn't hear all of that. What about the what?
Consciousness.
Consciousness is simply a form of knowing which only arises in the dualistic world. And it can only operate by knowing something, and therefore if there's something that's known, there has to be a knower. The knower is me, here in simple terms. So there's no consciousness or awareness, only in the dream world. It's an illusion.
And the dream world and the daily world is same?
Dream world and
In the night, the dream in the night are same like the dream of the day?
the dream world, the dualistic world, is the world that many people live in which everything is real, including consciousness and awareness. Awareness and consciousness is one of the ways in which the individual remains separate. I'm aware of the tree. I'm conscious of the tree. So I am this which is conscious of, this one which is conscious of the tree too. So it makes the tree a something, like our friend over here who wants to make the beloved a something that's always there. It then becomes a thing.
I could be wrong, Tony, and you probably know better than I do, but it sounds to me like, listening to the talk today and recent talks I've been in with you, the message is getting more simple in terms of the wording of your responses. It's a lot more sharp and focused and a lot less wordy. I think
that's what is apparently happening.
I think it's got a more sharp dynamic.
Right.
That may be how it feels to me.
It may be. I would say not in the last few months, but certainly years ago it was far more complex than this.
Yeah.
It was the same thing, but it was more complicated. This is much more direct.
I never sat in those meetings, obviously, but I watched them on YouTube. And
you can watch them on YouTube.
I have watched them on YouTube.
I quite enjoy them.
I like them too a lot, but it just sounds like there's more.
Yeah.
I don't want to say explanation because that would be the wrong thing, but more words used.
Yeah, more wordy, more.
This is more like precise.
Yeah, There's a killer in the room. There's a killer in the room.
In the room? Oh, yes.
Only one.
Thank you very much.